It's believed that the name Turkey came from the word Turcica, and that's the word that the Italians used to use for Anatolia, which is the Asian portion of Turkey. And this usage goes back to early 12th century. And the Turks never used the name Turkey for the name of their land until the Republic of Turkey was officially established in 1923. The name Turkey, by the way, means land of the Turks. But before the modern era of Turkey emerged, there were several hurdles that the Turks had to go through. So let's take a look at a brief history of the rise of the Turkish nation. In the year 1453, the Ottoman Empire had captured Constantinople, which is a city that's located where Istanbul, Turkey currently occupies. This was during the reign of Sultan Mehmed II, who ruled from 1451 to 1481. And during this period, the Ottoman Empire had a massive amount of growth. And Konal has a little bit more information on just how wide the Ottoman kingdom stretched.
At the peak of its rule, the Ottomans ruled over the regions that currently make the countries of Greece, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Albania, and Romania in the Balkans, over the eastern Mediterranean islands, as well as what's known today Middle East.
However, as the Ottoman Empire failed to hold their position of military and economic dominance, they began falling way behind the developments of Europe. With rebellions by the Balkans of Eastern and Southeastern Europe that were being supported by other European powers, as well as Russia, the Ottoman Empire slowly began its fall. By the time World War I rolled around in 1914 to 1918, the Ottoman Empire was defeated officially in the year 1918. And that's when they were made to sign a document called the Armistice Mudros. And what this document allowed was for British, Italians, as well as others to occupy Ottoman territory. A man by the name of Mustafa Ataturk, commonly referred to as the father of Turkey, he had become the leader and the public spokesman for the Turkish national movement, which emerged as a response to these occupations of Ottoman territory. The Turks that were in the land wanted their own independence and their own territory. They didn't want to share it with the British or the Italians, and they wanted absolutely no trace of the old Ottoman Empire whatsoever. They wanted a land just for the Turkish people that embraced more modern and progressive ideologies. As a result, the Turkish National Liberation War was fought and won. The Republic then was officially declared on October 29, 1923. For the first time in centuries, the Turkish people were self-ruled. They had their independence. And Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, he was elected as the first president of Turkey. Well, now that you have a little bit more insight on how the country of Turkey emerged, let's take a look at some interesting facts about the country.
Istanbul, the most populous city in Turkey, spans two continents. Istanbul is a transcontinental city with the Bosphorus Strait running through it, and that strait actually separates Asia and Europe. The part that lies in Asia side is called and known as Anatolia. It is commonly stated that Istanbul is the only city in the world that is located in two continents, but in actuality that is not true. There's many other transcontinental cities. The largest one though, of course, is Istanbul, Turkey, which is located on Asia and Europe.
Now, Konal just shared a little bit of information on Istanbul. However, Istanbul is not the capital of Turkey, despite popular belief. The capital of Turkey is actually Ankara. In the year 1923, the city of Ankara was declared the capital of Turkey in place of Istanbul.
Now, the hardest part. The longest word in Turkish language has 70 letters. Wait for it. Müveffegiyetsizleştiri veremeyebilecekleriyle. I hate your lower right now. Müveffegiyetsizleştirebileceklerimizden misinizcesine. Mic drop! Booyah! In English, it pretty much translates into as of you're one of those who are not easily made into the maker of unsuccessful ones. The translation is even as confusing as the word itself.
If you ever get a chance to visit Turkey, then do not forget to spare some time for a traditional Turkish bath. The Romans actually were the ones who started this tradition, but then the Ottomans adapted it into their cultural lifestyle. A walk around Topkapi Palace reveals the Sultan's private baths, and outside of that, original baths dating back 500 years are still open to the public in the city center. The procedure, which begins with steaming to open the pores and is then followed by a soap sud massage, it's definitely a great way to relax and de-stress, and of course clean your skin. It's like a whole experience in and of itself. Turkey is also famous for hot air balloons. In the central Anatolian region, Cappadocia, it's famous for its view, and it's recognized actually as the most beautiful view in the country. You can see a lot of hot air balloons rising into the air just as the sun comes up. And other than the hot air balloons, there's a whole lot more for travelers to do. They include visiting the Gurumay Open Air Museum, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that is comprised of 14th and 15th century ancient churches. Also, exploring underground cities is also very enjoyable, and they were built hundreds of years ago to protect inhabitants from invading forces such as the Persian armies. Turkey is also famous for goulet boats and sailing. If you ever visit an Aegean or Mediterranean holiday resort, then do not miss out on the sailing scene. This stretch of coastline from west to south, known as the Turkish Riviera or the Turquoise Coast, is definitely a sailor's paradise. Now, traditionally, Turks sailed around in goulet boats, but today significant marinas also house international mega and millionaire yachts. These things are beautiful and cost a lot of money. Now, moving on to number 7, the tea. Going to Turkey, so I've heard, and not trying their delicious tea is like the biggest crime that you can commit, because you're going to regret it for the rest of your life, and you shouldn't do that to yourself. So I've been told. Although many people believe that coffee is a typical drink of Turkey, well, the one that they actually drink most, probably all of the time, is tea, which definitely, like I mentioned, you should try. Of course, you've probably seen Turkish people drinking tea after every 10 minutes in the dramas. You know, if you've seen any Turkish TV shows or movies. Turkish tea is famous for its red color. And one thing you should know is that locals add about 3 or 4 sugar cubes to their tea. So the sweeter, the better. From there, let's look at Ephesus at number 6. Locals always say that if you visit Turkey, you definitely don't want to miss out on Ephesus Greco-Roman ruins in the Izmir region. This archaeological wonder was once one of the world's most prominent cities. Now, these days, a walk through the ancient ruins will have you see restored landmarks like statues and Roman terrace houses, you'll notice, as well as the Celsius Library and Agora temples and the famous gladiator theaters. That would be a sight to see.
Do you know the legendary city of Troy? Well, apparently it's located in Turkey, or it was located in Turkey, or where Turkey is. Yeah, kind of confusing, but let me explain. If you're a fan of the ancient city or just the Hollywood movie that starred Brad Pitt, then you might be interested to learn that the city of Troy did actually exist, and it was in the regions of where Turkey currently is right now. So in fact, historians believe that the city of Troy was built, destroyed, and rebuilt many times. The Troy from the tales of Homer involving the giant walls and the Trojan horse may have been sometime around what archaeologists call Troy 5 or Troy 6. There even remains of the walls that surround the cities that exist to this day that you can go and visit. Yeah, pretty amazing, huh? In regards to the alphabet that Turkey uses, it's a Latin-based alphabet. It's not based on Arabic. This means that signs, menus at restaurants, and other printed materials will contain letters in the English alphabet that you may be already familiar with. So for those of you who assume that when you go and travel to a Muslim country, that the language will look completely foreign, don't worry, when you go to Turkey, you'll be okay. In terms of the Muslim population of the country of Turkey, while nearly all the Turkish population is Muslim, Turkey is not officially a Muslim country. Yep, that's correct. Turkey has actually been officially a secular country since the year 1927. So, you know these plants right here?
Tulips? The tulips were introduced to Europe through Dutch traders by the Turks in the 17th century. Tulips were originally a wildflower growing in Central Asia that started to be cultivated by the Turks as early as 1000 AD. The word tulip comes from the Turkish word for turban, which is tulben. I think I nailed that in terms of pronunciation. I see your comments about my pronunciation on certain words. Guys, as we make these videos, we're learning just as much as you are. We really try real hard to pronounce words correctly in these videos, and when you make fun of me, it just really hurts my feelings. Now, moving on to some more facts. In Turkey, one way to protect a newborn baby is by salting. Okay, what's salting? Salting is a custom where the baby's body is rubbed all over with salt in the belief that it will give the child strength to resist harmful influences. Another practice that is no longer as common is placing a tortoise under a baby's pillow at night. It was believed that the tortoise would help protect the child. In the year 1503, Leonardo da Vinci submitted plans to build a bridge across the Bosphorus Strait, but it was not built until almost 500 years later in 2001, and it was named the Galata Bridge. We often hear about major construction projects being delayed a bit, but delaying for 500 years? Yeah, that's a first, but it got done. Okay, so now let's talk about camels. Yeah, one animal that I would love to take a ride on. Did you know that camels are not actually native to Turkey? This is despite the local popularity of camel wrestling, as well as the popularity of camels at Turkish resorts. One thing to note about camels is camels will wrestle only during their mating season, which lasts from November to March, and a female camel is paraded around in front of two males to provoke them. In the modern Turkish history, it's important to know that Turkey has an international foreign policy of peace. The country has always actively sought out peace relations with other nations, having learned their lessons after the then Ottoman Empire sided with the Allied powers during World War I. Ever since then, Turkey has maintained a neutral stance. In fact, during World War II, Turkey maintained a neutral stance until it finally sided with the Allies towards the end of the war as a symbolic gesture. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, who's known as the father of the Turks, was born in Greece, and he's the founder of modern Turkey. He was born in the year 1881 in the Ottoman city of Selanik, which is now Thessaloniki in Greece. And he became the leader and public spokesperson of the Turkish national movement that strived for a land for the Turkish people. The city Istanbul is the most populous city in Turkey, and it spans two continents. Istanbul is a transcontinental city with the Bosphorus Strait running straight through it. No pun intended. Now, the Bosphorus Strait, by the way, separates Europe and Asia, and the part that lies in Asia is called Antalya, and it's commonly stated that Istanbul is the only city in the world located in two continents, but in actuality there are several transcontinental cities. The largest and the most known, of course, is Istanbul, Turkey, located in Europe and Asia, and the others include Atyrau in Kazakhstan, which is Europe and Asia, and then there's Orenburg in Russia, which is Europe and Asia, and finally there is Suez in Egypt, which is located in Africa and Asia. And contrary to popular belief, Ankara is the capital city of Turkey, not Istanbul. Just gotta make that clear. Now, the name of the country Turkey may come from Turkia, which is a word Italian observers use to refer to Antalya, which is Turkey's Asian portion, as early as the 12th century. Now, the Turks didn't use the name Turkey, which means land of the Turks, officially until the Republic was established in the year 1923. Now, here's this church, or the Grotto of St. Peter. It's located near Antakya, which is also Antioch in ancient times, and it's composed of a cave carved into the mountainside on Mount Stereus with a depth of about 42 feet and 31 feet wide and a height of 23 feet. This cave, which some believe was used by the very first Christians, is one of Christianity's oldest churches. Many trace this back to the New Testament of the Bible in the book of the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 11 verses 26, where it says the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. See that ancient word there? Many tourists still visit this cave to this day.